first winning season ever, and of course, their first playoff team ever. Those were special times and really gave New Orleans a winner and good football team for the first time, and as I mentioned, he was a large part of it. He's gone on to do a lot of things, and he's done a great job doing analysis now on WWL Radio with the First Take show, which you'll be able to hear this afternoon. What time are you guys starting? 3 o'clock. Wow. Starting at 3 this afternoon with Tom Meneses, another good guy, and you'll have a chance to tune in. That's WWL 870 AM. And a good man, a good friend. Please give a warm welcome to Steve Korte. Steve?
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for letting me visit with you guys today. I don't even have one state championship in anything. You got 18? Give me one. Anyway, well, look, let me get right to it. I'm Steve Korte. I do some things with WWL, and this is my 8th season doing that, if you can believe that already. So it's been quite a while. But nevertheless, I'll get right to it. Look, the Saints right now, they're 2-5 in Week 8. It's still Week 8 because it's the last game of this week. But it's not a pretty deal, and we all sort of know that. And I think if you kind of do an analysis of it and kind of look at it, I think after several weeks, and you can kind of see that, I think a lot of people said, well, this is going to spur them on, all this kind of stuff that happened in the offseason, and that this is going to give them some motivation and all that. I think a lot of that could be true, but it's not sustainable stuff. And so I think what you're seeing right now is a team that is probably reeling a lot from missing its head coach, missing its leadership, and really missing the day-to-day guy. Believe it or not, that is the the one thing you miss, as well as I think when you have a relationship with number 9 like he does, and able to, make on-the-fly adjustments during games at certain things that, look, defenses aren't going to come out there and show you everything that you've practiced that week. Okay, there's different things that happen all the time. So, that being said, I think that the day-to-day, the play-to-play changes that he has, and he actually gives that team, I think is the one thing that they truly miss offensively. Now, even in that case, I think the offense is beginning to sort of click. Okay, beginning of the year, I think there was a lot of timing issues, and whether or not that had to do with replacement refs and some of the things that they were allowing some of the defenders to do or not, I don't know. It certainly can be looked at that way, but they're not very good right now, and at the same time, they're one of the tops in the league in points. They're one of the tops in the league in passing, and right now we're just not very good at running the football. Now why you say that? I say, well, a lot of times that has to do with your defense. And I think we're in poor field position a lot of times. I think we're being sort of forced to play catch up a lot of times too quickly. I think they take their foot off the gas, and I think they try to score too many points too quickly when all you can get is 6. At least that's the way I remember it, Coach. So I think a lot of times they obviously try to do too much too quickly, and I think that a lot of times affects a lot of things that happen, and obviously some decision making there. So if I break it down, and people say, kind of what do you think that the thing that you can point your finger on? I think there's so many different things that you can sort of point your finger to. But look, the Saints have a bunch of good players. They have good pieces. They just are not playing together as a cohesive unit at this point. Defensively, I think people are blaming a lot of this stuff on Spagnuolo's scheme and all that. That's a bunch of bull. Let me tell you something. It's still playing defensive football, and these guys are supposed to be playing it fundamentally sound, and right now they're not getting it done. So, you can line up just a certain number of ways with 11 guys and make that a sound defense. So the fact that they're not getting it done, it tells me that it's fundamentals. It's tackling, it's shedding blocks, it's doing all the stuff that you teach people all the time from the time they're little kids, and these guys aren't getting it done. But I will say, if I look back again offensively, offensive line-wise, obviously I look at that extensively, but at the same time, I don't think. Look, as a previous offensive lineman, the thing you don't, after a while, you get sick and tired of taking a pass set and letting this guy hit you in the mouth the whole time. Okay, and eventually you want to start running the football. So I wish they would sort of lean a little bit more towards that. At the same time, I understand the position they're in; they need to score quickly. So you're sort of at this quandary of what to do next with that situation. So I'd like to see them stick with that a little bit more, and obviously see if they can play that out. I don't know if missing Carl Nix is that big of an issue. There's times I think that it can be, because I think he's a dominant offensive lineman in the league. So I think that Grubbs, being I think a good player as he is, I certainly don't think he's of Nick's caliber. I think Streif has sort of struggled a little bit with some injuries lately. Obviously, our tight end is one of the superstars of the league, and really has sort of been limited so much because of what he's been able to do as far as getting himself healthy to get back on the field. If I look at the running backs, I think you've got some guys there that obviously have talent. That 23 is your guy, but at the same time, when you lose Sproles now, he's the guy I call it Swiss Army knife. He can do just about anything. He's got several different things he can do so well. So I think you lose him. I think that can be an issue. But getting back defensively, I think that we sort of need to. There's a couple things you need to look at defensive line wise. There's been some guys in there that have played at high level for a long time, and I think that we're getting to be a victim of sort of hanging on to some players when they're a little bit long in the tooth, and I think they're getting a little bit old in some instances. And look, I'm like anybody else. You try to stay in that league as long as you possibly can, but they're paying these guys a lot of money, and they're not getting it done. So until we can start generating some pass rush with 4 guys instead of having to conform some sort of blitz exotica to kind of get it done, we're not going to be very good there. So it's making our secondary look pretty bad, real bad, and they're not tackling well. So I don't know what else to tell you. I think I've pretty much painted a pretty bad scenario for you. But I will say this, that a lot of that stuff is fixable. I think they're coming back into form. They're playing better, believe it or not, as bad as they have been playing. They're playing better than they have in the past. And I think that if we can prevent, obviously, the turnovers. Right now we're at 0 as our turnover ratio, which is, all right, given this choice, I'd rather be, plus 10, but we're not. But Philadelphia is -9, okay? So we got something to look forward to, okay? Tonight, if you want to look at tonight, look, they got some quarterback issues, big time. And I'll tell you that they have some offensive line issues, so that's not going to bode very well for them offensively. But the one thing they can do is run the football. So at the same time, I think that if we can sort of shut him down, McCoy, and limit some of your tight end work with Selleck and limit some of your big play capabilities at Deshaun Jackson, then obviously I think we got to stop him to do that. But we'll see if that happens. Offensively, we just got to sort of keep doing what we've been doing. Now, they've been a great defensive team in the past, but they really haven't played very well defensively either as of late. So these are 2 sort of not really good teams right now that are starting to face off tonight. But I can tell you that this league is a funny place, and I say this all the time, that if I'd have been a guy that was betting a lot of money every weekend on NFL football games, I'd have been broke by now, because I have no idea what's going on in this league. Usually I can get pretty close to getting sort of a lot of these answers right on most of these teams, but this year is strange, and it's unusual, and I can't figure out any other reason to say that, but it's an unusual situation. But anyway, let's hope for tonight, and let's hope that we don't turn the ball over, and let's hope that we can maintain some obviously some initiative and some drive offensively, and then stop them. I'd love to get out on 3 and out would be great defensively. I'd love that. So if we can force them into that, I think we're in good shape. But any questions? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know. I can tell you that because I'm not at practice every day or in the meetings, the only thing I can speculate is that he's putting the ball on the ground at practice. And if you're doing that, and if you certainly don't have any ball security, if you're having ball security issues, then you're really sort of a catalyst waiting to explode on your offense, and really sort of at that point sort of put you under the table, because turnover ratio, as you guys know, it is. You can look at that stat almost exclusively and figure out who won and lost that game in this league. But that's the only thing I can think of. I agree with you as far as being the explosive part. Yeah, you may. Hopefully he turned it on in practice and decides to cover it up. I don't know. Anything else? Yeah. All right. Ingram? I wouldn't. I think there's been a lot of negative talk about him lately, and I don't think that I think you see it in order to ride it out with him a little bit. I wouldn't be too quick to pull the trigger on cutting him loose or somebody saying trade him or something like that. I think like him, like anybody else coming in here, there was a lot of high expectations that he was going to run like he did at the University of Alabama. And I think he started off pretty good his rookie year, and then obviously he got hurt, and I think it sort of set him back a little bit. I don't know if he's got his full mental confidence back as far as being able to sort of go in there and bang that stuff in there without sort of. I think he's still feeling that injury a little bit. Now that's just me speculating, mental-wise. I don't know, but I can certainly tell you that I think he's a good enough player that obviously he's gonna do some good things when he's here. But we've got to be able to run the football a little bit better too. You know, it's not just one guy. I mean, the 5 guys up front have got to get it done. What's the other one? Absolutely, yeah. I think they're playing great offensively, and I think they're playing great defensive football right there at this point. They're everything we thought we would be this year, and right now they're getting it done, and they're offensively they're throwing the ball around, and nobody can stop them. So the only thing that they can do is stop themselves at this point. But hey, things happen in this league, and it's a week-to-week league. And if you see that, I mean, look, you can look down in this past week and look at the scores, and in the past few weeks, you can look at there and say, there's no way I would have thought that team would have beat that team going into this. I mean, each and every week you look at it, and there's several that end up like that. And they're all coming down to where if you watch it, I watch this NFL Red Zone. I don't know if you guys get that or not, but that is like a junkie. I mean, that's just like the craziest stuff in the world. I love that channel. And it's absolutely the greatest thing in the world. And you're watching this mirage of all these teams, and you're looking at it, and they're all coming down. Every now and then there's a blowout, and every now and then there's a team that's going to get better because they're killing them defensively, or they're getting a bunch of turnovers. But by and large, you take that away, they're coming down to about a 2-point or 3-point game almost every week. Yeah. Look, I think they just played better. I think they executed better than they did this year, I think, than they did last year. Their quarterback got better. Well, yeah, their coordinator changed, but obviously something is clicking there with Ryan, because to me he looks like a different quarterback than he did last year. I'm not saying the guy was not talented, but at the same time, look, he's a different ball player this year than he was last year. Yeah. I think the Saints woke up after about week 4, and I think they all sort of came to the realization that Sean's not going to be here this year. So at this point now, we have to do something, and we have to change what we're doing, because what we're doing is not working. So the fact that I think now they're here, and that this may be a possibility, he's not going to be back, I don't understand. I have no idea why you'd want to sign a contract that said if this guy over here screws up, then I'm going to get fired too. But nevertheless, that's just what I'm thinking. But at the same time, I don't know why this team at this point has not sort of rebounded from some of that. But whether or not that's going to affect their confidence or not going into next year, I don't know, because I don't know how much he hasn't had any contact with anybody. So it's kind of like I don't think everybody's going to say, oh man, this thing will all get fixed when Sean comes back. The coach has got to coach, but the players got to play. I mean, once they go out there, the coach can't do anything about it. Yeah. Oh, I go on the air at 3 o'clock, today 3 o'clock. So it'll be 4 hours before kickoff, no matter what time the Saints kick off. I'm 4 hours preceding for 2 hours, and then it goes to Deke and Bobby. And currently, in what I've been doing for the last 14 years, I'm a cardiac rhythm management specialist, which is an acronym for pacemakers, defibrillators, and ICDs and things like that for cardiac rhythm devices for either bradycardia, heart failure, or tachycardia. Yeah. Nah. Yeah, everybody down here is a Saints fan, so they all get them. Yeah. 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 Well, look, obviously he relies on his legs to get him out of a lot of trouble. Okay, and I think what happens is he doesn't protect the football very well. And I think a lot of times he gets rattled and he throws the ball into places he shouldn't be throwing it. Now, this guy's been in the league for 11 years. I say it's not like he's a young guy and he's making mistakes and that'll all get rectified. That's not happening. So, look, he's in a pressure situation tonight. I mean, this is sort of a deal for him whether or not he's going to come out and play well or not, and obviously the pressure's on him to see if he can do it or not. It's kind of a dangerous situation to be in because you know obviously the guy's a great athlete and what he can do, but nevertheless you hope that he throws it to us, and then the second part of it is you hope that we catch it. You know, we haven't been real good at that either. So yeah. I'm okay, thanks. Yeah. Oh, wow. Boy, there's a number of guys. I can think of Kirby Smart. That'd be a great one to me. I mean, this one that comes to mind. You know, whether or not those guys obviously get any kind of, you know, wherewithal to do that or the ability to do that's another story. But that's what I would think of first. You know. Yeah. Kirby Smart, Alabama coordinator. Yeah. Thanks a lot.